Hey guys, this is Cobra DVS doing I guess an update video. I'm not sure really what else you'd call it, but about what I got recently, which, as you can see over my left shoulder here, is my second pinball machine right behind me directly. Of course, that back glass is pretty bright. It was my first pinball machine. I uploaded a video about that machine about 2 years ago. In fact, 2 years ago, in about 2 weeks, it'll be almost exactly 2 years. Now you can't really make it out, but that's a mousing around. And I did a pretty lengthy video on that when I bought it. But 2 years later, what I can say about owning that machine is that it was really a perfect first pinball machine. I think the only thing, maybe the only other one that I would have or could have considered as being a great first pinball like this one would be like a high speed or something. Something that's relatively simple. Also a fun game, a cool theme. Good to learn on. Not only learn to play and what pinball is kind of all about, but also to learn how to fix them because it's a double-edged sword, right? You get to really have fun with them, but you also have to put in the work. I always tell people it's like owning a classic car, and I don't own a classic car, but I know what goes into it. So half the fun is fixing them, right? And truthfully, that's kind of it actually is. It turned out to be pretty true. Um, Before I get into Getaway real quick, just on mousing around, one last thing I'll say. Nothing has really gone wrong with it, to be honest with you. I've had to solder a couple of coils. There's a diverter in the back, which actually currently I have a part on order to hopefully repair that. That gives me issues once in a while, but I haven't had anything really catastrophically go wrong with it. It gets a lot of use when we have people over. We had some folks over for Christmas, friends. Hell, we probably went through 50, $60 in quarters. I set these up to run on quarters. Of course, I supply the quarters, but it just, I think, gives it a little bit more of an authentic feel. I really enjoy that. But hell, yeah, we probably went through $50 in quarters. 50 cents a game. It's like 100 games. So it's getting a lot of use. And I'll say it's a really fun game. It's extremely punishing, but it's really fun. So everything's been great there. When I bought that machine, the guy told me when I bought it, he said, "Hey, this is going to be your first one. It's like a sickness. You buy one, eventually you get more." Um, that was true, as it turns out. I remember walking into never really after getting the first one, getting a second one was more like a what if or a maybe. We'll see what happens because they're not cheap. And so walked randomly, accidentally, actually went to this, took a wrong turn and pulled into a parking lot to turn around, and it was an arcade, a pinball arcade specifically. So a buddy of mine, we went in and said, hey, let's check this out. We went in. It was one of those places where you buy a wristband for like $20 and you could play everything. It's on free play. So we went in, played. What was there? There was a whirlwind. Was there? There was a creature from a Black Lagoon. They had Monster Bash, probably Attack from Mars. They had a bunch of like newer Sterns and stuff too. But then they had Getaway, and Getaway was one that I'd never heard of. Went played a game on it and was pretty much immediately drawn to it. It was way more fun, I'll say, than like mousing around was like initially, because I'm not a great player. I kind of know what I'm doing, but I was able to get the ball up in the supercharger. It goes around the ramp a bunch of times. You're getting call outs, it's playing ZZ Top. Everything was just really fun. This is, it's exciting. And I thought to myself that day, I was like, that's going to be my second pinball machine. When I get another one, Getaway's what I'm going to get. And that was about probably a year ago. I have, in that time, sort of passively been looking at machines. Other ones that drew my eye, Swords of Fury, I think would be a fun one. I love that music and obviously the Lion Man thing. But I've heard things about the rule set. It's just kind of maybe not the most, doesn't have the best longevity, maybe. Other machines, Godzilla, obviously, the new Godzilla was, I played it only a few times, but it's really cool. But obviously, it's a more expensive machine. It's new. So ultimately, all things considered, I really narrowed it down to two things. I was either going to get a Getaway or I was going to get high speed. Um, and anybody watching this that knows pinball knows that Getaway is high speed too. But high speed is sort of in the same vein as Mouse and Around. They're built on the same System 11, or they're both System 11 games. They're relatively simple. The appeal to me of high speed is there's not a ton that can go wrong, right? Similar to Mouse and Around. Um, so the only difference really that is notable between the two is about $1,500 to $2,000, right? A high speed is anywhere from like varying condition, right? 3,500 or 2,500 to like over 3,000, whereas Getaway, same deal, is like 4,000 to 5,000, sort of in that range, depending on mods or conditions and things like that. So, but at the end of the day, I decided on Getaway, and now having had it, as my cat tries to climb this chair over here, and now, so I went and picked it up, whatever I got. It was on the higher end of the cost spectrum, and I was kind of hesitant about spending that much money, in general, but let alone let alone on a pinball machine. But it didn't. It also didn't have any modifications. So I was like, look, this guy's asking top dollar. It's a pinball that's mostly unmodified, with an exception. I'll get to that. Okay, and he was firm on price, wouldn't budge. So I said, look, I'll come check it out. So going in, all I knew was it was a Getaway. It had been shopped, and that it had the batteries eliminated and replaced with the NVRAM mod. Now my Mouse and Around has the same thing, and I put a fair amount of stake into that mod. I think that's a good one to have. Obviously, not having to worry about the batteries or the corrosion is nice. And it's probably one, since it deals with boards, that I would never do myself. So having it done, I put more stake in that than something that I could do myself, like LEDs or something. So anyway, went to check it out, thinking, okay, high end of the spectrum, not much done to it. Probably not gonna be too interested in this, or probably not gonna buy it, at least at what he's asking. So we got there, started checking it out. We did a couple of playthroughs. He took the glass off, showed me what he had done. Shop in his terminology meant they took all the playfield plastics off, washed them, cleaned out all the electrical connections in the back box. Stuff like that, right? So gone through the machine, tore the playfield off, stuff like that. That's to me, a pretty thorough shop job, and certainly something that I wouldn't want to do. Could I do it? Probably, but I wouldn't want to. So that was great. Now, what struck me, and I'll show you in a minute, though, is the condition. It was a machine that it's not a home use only machine. The guy who had it does vending also, and especially the playfield. The whole thing is just fabulous. Now I know it has the diamond plate stuff on the field, so you're not going to get a ton of wear, but at least in most cases, I think. But this one is just really good. Not a lot of peeling or anything over the lights, the little inserts for the lights. Cabinet's got a couple of nicks here or there, whatever. Better than the Mouse and Around cabinet, which has even more nicks in it. So I was honestly really impressed with the condition. So long story short, we wound up making a deal. I bought it that day, hauled it back here, and I had a pinball machine from 1 o'clock. I had nothing. 6 o'clock, I've got another pinball machine in my basement. So, that's it. I ultimately think that Getaway is a pretty good step up. Obviously, it's the next iteration after the System 11 machines. You got WPC, I think is what they call this whatever system that it's on. It's a dot matrix display. Obviously, this one's just the little, I'm not really sure what you'd call that. The rather simplistic little display on it. So there's a lot more going on here. The game's a little bit more complex. It's got it's got a huge mech in it, obviously the supercharger. and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a good graduation sort of or escalation in pins to get. So I'm super excited about it. I've had it for about 5 days maybe, and let me tell you what's gone wrong, because things have gone wrong. Not everything's perfect. Obviously, it could be perfect. You know, you go there, everything's peachy. You take it home, all of a sudden half of it doesn't work, right? A few things have gone wrong, and nothing catastrophic, mind you. First thing, you know what? Why don't we just do this while looking at the playfield? That'd be a lot easier. All right, so now here we are looking at the playfield. You'll have to excuse the camera work. I am actually just holding my laptop, but that's the easiest way for me to do this. So let me go through and talk about what issues I've had. The first issue was leveling it. One of the legs, the leveling screw thing is stuck. So I had some trouble there. I've gotten it pretty much ironed out. There's a slight lean in this direction, so I can fix the two on that side. Just raise them up a little bit, and we'll be good to go. Just haven't really done it. Doesn't really affect gameplay much at all, anyways. But I will fix it. The second thing, and the bigger issue when I first got it is, you know, when you launch the ball in this machine, comes through here. You launch it here, shoots out of this, comes across, and is supposed to loop up back here around and wind up in the pop bumpers area back here. What mine was doing was launching out of here and then hitting this post or one of these stoplights and sort of coming back into the playfield. Now, that's not supposed to happen. And I couldn't really figure out why it was happening. I thought maybe, I was trying everything, right? I thought maybe the machine was pitched too much and it was coming out of here and just sort of dragging down this way. You know, it's moving so fast that really doesn't affect it. So that wasn't it. What it wound up being was that this metal, we'll call it guide here on the outer side of the playfield, was just sticking out, was just kind of angling the ball more this way instead of this way. So there's an adjustable screw here, loosened it, moved it, tightened it back. Now she runs great. The other issue that I had was these three stoplights in the back. I don't know if you can see them with the supercharger ramp. These three in the back were not working. Couldn't really figure out why. The bulbs were good. Thought, you know, I didn't really initially know. Did some quick, asked for some help on pin side, and a guy on there suggested checking the header pins on the board that those lights are attached to. He said sometimes they get cracked or whatever, so check those, resolder them, and wouldn't you know it, that fixed it. Now when I did that, it triggered two lights down here to stop working. It was like one of these RPM lights, the 2x freeway light, and I think that was it. But they were not working, but I kind of just did a general troubleshoot and was able to figure that out too. So other than that, everything's been good. I have gotten only a couple of test report, you know, check this, check that, and it's always been for the same thing. So this is going to be my next fix, we'll call it, and it's the lock right here, right? So at a certain point in the game, in fact, let me just set this down. I think you can see the lock from here. Yeah, great. So a certain point in the game, obviously you can shoot the ball up the ramp and it'll divert itself up into here. You lock 3 balls. It starts one of the multi-ball modes. The way that the ball locks is there's basically a rod that shoots up and blocks the balls, and when it wants to bring them down, the rod comes down, lets the balls, it flows through this ramp out into the playfield. What happens is it will, so say you're playing a 2-player game and player 1 locks 2 balls, and then player 2 plays and he or she locks a ball, and now all 3 balls are here. The machine is supposed to let some out so that the player can continue playing, because there's 3 balls in the machine, they'd all be locked, right? Well, instead of just letting one out, it will let all of the ones that are in there out. It'll do it if there's 2 balls in there. Sometimes it'll even do it. I'm not sure exactly what causes that. Seems to be a pretty common issue. Looks like maybe it's a spring on that rod that prevents it from like going down and then shooting back up quick enough. I haven't really dived into that, but the machine has told me twice to check it. My understanding of that is that it does that because it was left in the like open or closed position or whatever when the machine was turned on, and that's not supposed to happen, right? So at least that's what the manual said. Other than that, that is the only issue that that I've really had, or that I have now. So as far as like what I'm gonna do on the machine, we'll center the camera a little bit. Well, I've already replaced the apron cards. Got rid of the standard ones and got some nicer ones. I'll show you those in a minute. I'm gonna do some modifications, but I'm gonna keep it simple. I've seen some where they're doing LEDs in here. They're doing this, that, and the other thing, whatever. Of course, the mouse and round's talking now, but all I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do the donut shop. I might just do the decal. Don't really know if getting the more expensive 3D print option is really worth it. It's just a cosmetic thing anyway. I'm not going to bother with the lights. I'm probably going to get something over here to block this switch, be it a spinner, which I have seen, or just the general freeway sign thing that goes above the field. Might do that. And there's the mountain mod in the back there, which I think, first of all, this little piece of plastic, this mountain that they put on here from the factory, it's not very good. So it's just, I think that would actually be a pretty cool little upgrade to get. And I think the only other upgrade I can think of, our physical upgrade anyway, is the shifter upgrade, where I might do it's like a standard rod that allows you to put any real legitimate shifter ball on there. I might do that as well. Last thing is that I will probably upgrade to LEDs. And my mouse and around is LEDs. These are all the standard bulbs. Just looking at the two next to each other, mouse and around is significantly brighter, and in fact, we might be able to even see it. You can just tell how much brighter the machine is. And, for some games, I think it benefits more than others. Mouse and Around's a generally bright game anyway, a lot of yellows and reds. This game's not necessarily as bright, but I think it could still, I think it will still significantly benefit from more illumination, because it's not that the game is dark in itself. There's a lot of greens. There's a lot of greens here, yellows and reds too, but it illumination-wise is relatively dark. So I think sprucing that up a little bit will help the machine out, at least in terms of looks. So I think that's all I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to get into any pin sound stuff, pin stadium. I don't. I'm not at that level yet. I might do side blades, either the mirrored ones or the art ones. I'm not sure. I might do that on mouse and around too. But just relatively not common, but easy stuff. There's no need for me to get too crazy on anything here. So, other than that, I'm extremely happy with everything. Maybe I was a little shell-shocked at first about dropping money on like that on a pinball machine, but now having it, let it settle and enjoying the machine for a few days, I'm extremely happy to have this one. And they look great next to each other. There is something about when you have a line, even though my line is only two machines and a 16-in-1 arcade cabinet, there is something to that look that I really like, and it is addicting. So that's all I've got to show you, really. I will quickly show you the apron cards that I got. These are just there we go. I found these on, I can't even remember the website, but I did a Google search to find them. And all they are is, photo paper. So I just downloaded the file, resized it to fit a 4x6 standard photo, and printed them at CVS. And they look very good. They're not as high quality as the ones I got on my mouse and around from Upkick Pinball. But, when the glass is on, you really can't tell the difference. So that's all I've got. I'll end the video here, and as I do modifications and stuff, perhaps I'll do some more videos. So until next time, guys, We'll see you. Thanks.